Hello everyone, I'm Ahmed Khan and I'll be hosting today's episode of BATCHEET. And today we have with us Ms. Dhanistha Sudhakar from 2014 to 2018 batch of Biotechnology branch. And currently she is pursuing her master's in molecular medicine from Uppsala University in Sweden. And she bagged an internship at University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center in 2017. And she was also a research trainee at Center for Human Genetics. So without any further ado, let's welcome her.
Thank you,
Hello, Di.
Ahmad. Thank you, Ahmad. It's great to be here. And yeah, thank BATCHEET and BioNRT to have me here.
Okay. So should we start with our first question?
Yeah.
So you are right now bagged an internship at MD Anderson Cancer Research Center. Can you entail us on how you did that and how many professors did you have to contact?
So the MD Anderson internship I got when I was in my third year of my bachelor's. So I pretty much started emailing professors around, I think, by February, March or so. So that's how early I started. And luckily with MD Anderson, the professor I contacted, so I was very keen on working with cancer genetics very early on. And I knew that cancer was something that I was interested in. So that was something that I was looking at. So that made me easier to kind of shortlist universities or university hospitals that are more dealing with cancer related research. And I think you can find a lot of these rankings, or if you want to go by those, if you don't know, you're not aware of many universities, you can just use QS and facilities like that, which give you the university rankings to kind of figure out what university ranks what in what subjects. So I started with that, and then I found certain universities and started emailing people which I thought was going, I was interested in. And then I think contacted about 15 people or so.
Oh.
But MD Anderson, I think I did get it almost immediately. Like I think a week
That's
after I emailed them, I actually had emailed to the head of the department I had worked in systems biology, and he sent it to another professor who was working within the department, so to my PI now. And I had a phone interview and it all quickly worked out.
okay.
So it was a pretty easy process for me to get to the interview stage, and I think it's just all in your cover letter, how good you are at explaining, that I just showed the interest that I had in the work they had, and just showed why I'm actually even interested in the subject like that. And in the phone interview, I had a couple of questions related to what I actually know, what are my laboratory skills, and why I want to pursue such a profile and things like that.
So how many other professors replied to you? You sent it to 15 emails.
I did get a lot of replies back.
Oh,
So I think I would say 3/4 of the people did reply back to me. Some of them we continued the discussion to another round, but some of them were at least replied back to me saying that the laboratories were full and they could not have another
okay.
position, or they don't have a position open. So I did get positive and negative replies back.
So would you say a good email is important for a good application? Like what was your email like to make it stand out
Um,
to professors?
I think, yeah, at this stage they would be getting a lot of emails from many
Yeah, yeah,
people. So I think it is important that you actually understand, or I'm sure none of us truly understand, or especially in the second and third year stage, we don't
yeah.
know every extent of all the work that's going in. But at least, you can have some enthusiasm towards something, that there might be some topics that really interest you and resonate with you. And when that happens, you automatically would start writing something, or you automatically will try to connect with those people in telling how important their work is to you and how much you would like to learn from it. So I think that part is really important, and then you would again try to um, match what skills you already have acquired from the laboratories we have had in our course and everything to match to what kind of work they are doing, and saying that I know at least the basics of this and I can improve on it with your guidance
Yeah.
and things like that. So show what you have already done and try to relate it with their experience and what work they are doing. And yes, once you find an actual lab which really does the work that you kind of think you're interested in, because at that stage I don't think any one of us would know the exact thing that I mean, at no stage it's actually easy because there's a lot of aspects to everything. So I guess just formulate it such that you have one place where you talk about the research, actually look into the research papers, delve deep into what they're doing and
Okay.
understand that, and write that in your email, and then have one part where you kind of have your experience won't change drastically with each professor. So unless you have to write something you want to make stand out specifically that they need it and you have it, then you write that part like in bold or in like show it to them more clearly. Otherwise it's a pretty standard email where the first part is where you start explaining and try to understand their work and tell why you are actually interested.
Okay, was your cover letter in the same email, or was it as an attachment? Did you send it as an attachment?
So in my email, I had my cover letter, and then my resume was
Okay,
in
okay.
an attachment. So my email, try to keep it short, and especially when you're in your second year, third year, it's not like you have, I
A
mean,
lot of
it is great
experience.
if you have a lot of skills, but don't drag out the email, because if you don't have anything to say, it doesn't make sense to drag out an email.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
So have a clear cut four paragraphs, four short
Four paragraph.
paragraphs, different sections saying what you like, why you should be there, and then what you finally want or something, and a conclusion.
Okay, 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 okay. And you are also a project trainee at Center for Human Genetics. What did that entail?
So that I started
That
after my
that one is
graduation.
funded by Oxford, right? I saw it.
Center for Human Genetics.
Yeah.
Uh, that was actually it's a depart. It is a government of Karnataka backed
Oh,
research laboratory.
okay.
So I did it in Bangalore. So in India. So that's a department of that belong to the government of Karnataka
Okay,
funded,
okay.
plus probably a national funding as well.
Okay.
And that I was a project trainee. I took a gap year after I finished my undergrad, after I graduated.
Oh.
So I worked there for about 7 months.
Then,
I mean, I actually got the position like, let's say in August or September. I had an interview process. So I was applying to a lot of laboratories in India because I had an experience of what research was like in the US. So I really wanted to understand what it was actually like in the Indian, uh, with an Indian background. So applied to vacancies and job vacancies and contacted people, and again just looked at, I was sure about certain locations that I wanted to look at in India. So then I started looking at the research facilities only in those places. And since cancer was something that I was already keen at, it was easier to shortlist certain labs and not look at every possible laboratory. And so I was working on cancer sensitization and some therapeutic advances in different cell lines of cancer, and different, I was working on like three different projects over there while I was there. But yeah.
did you decide the project, or was it your project supervisor?
So I'd applied basically to one of the projects, and it kind of extended to the work, and I was also taking over some work from another lab member who was taking on a leave, who was going out for a leave. So it was a short position for like 6 to 7 months. So I did not have a major steering of what the project was, because also it was a short project, and and I was picking up someone else's work that was already being done. So yeah, but it
Uh,
was a nice experience in the sense that once you do these things, you get to be in 3 or 4 different projects, like I said, and understand what other people are doing. So I guess all these add on to my experience for my masters, which even though I had my internship in the US, this was much more an added experience after undergrad, where I had more knowledge on the subject.
so I saw on your LinkedIn resume you had a lot of courses on medication. When did you know you were interested in medication? And in fact, when did you know you were interested in biotechnology?
Biotechnology was very early on. I
Right.
think I mean, it was always medicine actually
Oh,
to start off with. And then I think in our ninth grade or something of that sort is
ninth
when we
grade.
were,
So,
that's when you had the first genetics course in your school, I
yeah, yeah,
suppose.
yeah.
So that's when I realized that probably medicine is not what I want to do and maybe I want to get into the research of it. And so genetics was something that was I was keen at in the beginning, and yeah, that soon just transitioned very naturally and organically to me. And cancer was, I guess, I just started reading up on a lot of articles or through the I mean from the second year itself or third year I've always applied to just cancer labs and worked related to cancer, so that was something that's always been constant. And as I went, I just started trying to understand there are various aspects. So every position I chose had a different approach to dealing with cancer, even if it's a different kind of tumor. So uh, that part was, so you kind of keep building and trying to add different things. So you just don't say, let's say, cancer immunology is something that I learned recently, which I didn't have an experience doing before. And then cancer with some kind of a drug and sensitization was something I had. So you keep adding the various aspects to it that you can just add on.
so right now you're in Sweden.
Yes.
Okay, so how was that journey like? You can tell us. Can you tell us?
That journey was, it progressed immediately after my
Project inter.
project trainee at being a project trainee at CHG, and started applying for a lot of masters application. And again, I went about, I think I searched the top universities that were good in for masters and post grad education, and kind of made like an Excel file with all the universities with their deadline dates, the application requirements, and what is the course that I was actually interested in. So I, I think I looked at about 30 different universities and
30.
looked at the courses that all of them offered. And finally, I think I ended up applying to 12, 13 universities. I'm not too sure if I remember the number correctly, but
Okay.
yeah, around 10, 12 universities. And luckily, I did get almost like 8 or 9 uh,
Replies.
positive reply when I got into most of
That's
the
awesome.
courses that I'd applied to. So again, I think you just relate to it. And Uppsala University I chose because I actually had come across it only through the Erasmus Mundus, the IMM program that we have, the
Yeah,
Innovative
yeah,
Medicine.
yeah, yeah.
So that was the only program of Erasmus that I could relate to, and that was had courses related to mine, and that's where I found Uppsala University. But I ended up applying to another course itself. I didn't get through to the IMM program, so I am currently doing a molecular medicine course. So, and this is completely based off on human diagnostics, prognostics, and research, and it covers various different aspects of it. And it's a very research focused course. So it's just a step by step thing.
Yeah. You mentioned Erasmus program. Can you tell us more about it?
So Erasmus is the program which has an international tie-up with the many European universities and Indian universities as an exchange program, and so they offer internships and traineeships and masters degree and even PhD. I think fellowships to some extent. So I think that's something that everyone should apply to when they're looking for opportunities. And at least, if not, they will at least get to contact a lot of labs through this and get an insight to it. But I guess one of the major requirements where I fell short on possibly is could be the grading. So
Yeah.
sometimes you're expected to have or like in be a topper or like have very high grades, which was not always the condition with mine. Uh, but still, you get, I think, an experience is also something that is supported and that they look into. So I think it's worth a try, even if you don't have the grades to go for it, because there is no harm in trying. but and yeah, it does not have any fee payment or like an application fee, so go for it. And they have offers programs with Erasmus and IMIM and different aspects. So they some programs concentrate on the medicine, on food, on plant, or whatever it is you could be interested in.
And how's life like at Uppsala University? I heard it was the first university in Sweden. How is it different from NIT Warangal?
I don't think there's a fair
Comparison.
comparison point
Okay.
in between the
I just
universities. But yeah, it has been the oldest universities, and the research that has been doing is all cutting edge. And I mean, the research, we wouldn't say there's that much going on in NIT biotechnology
of
at
course, yeah.
this point now, but so it's completely different in the sense that it's much more of a nurturing setup. And of course, there's always an undergrad versus postgraduate difference, where over here it's much more of research focus, where
Yeah.
they focus on your holistic development. So it's not just me trying to learn some subject and understand that and just put it write it the whole thing down onto an exam sheet and pass my question. So we have a lot of assignments. We have like we need to come up with our own research proposal and a
Oh,
problem statement, where we are taught to kind of plan our own experiments. Let's say this is your proposal, how would you plan experiments to go
you are
with it?
given a
So
lot
it's
of
kind of
freedom.
like, yeah, and it's like kind of nurturing the research side of it and help you actually set you up for a PhD or set you up for a research background. So it's kind of a great bridge between your undergrad, where you have just a lot of basic knowledge but you don't know how to apply it, and so they teach you how to do it, sort of, in a
Okay,
way.
in a good way. And what
Mm.
are your future plans? PhD?
PhD is in the books, so I might also look for research assistants, job opportunities before I can actually find a lab that I'm probably like actually interested in to get start a PhD. But yes, PhD, or yeah, I guess that's it for now. Not not too strict, or don't have everything figured out yet.
Okay, no problem. And one more thing. What extracurricular activities did you participate in college? Would you say they were important for your application, your resume?
Uh, Extracurriculars, I was part of QCM, Quality Control Management in Springsbury, and that was something I was doing from my second year. I think first year I was a volunteer or something, and second, third, fourth, and went on to become a core in the final year. So that was something I was there, and then you had the literary debating club, and there's so many of these clubs. I think if they're always looking at communication skills are something that are extremely important, and being a team player is something important when you come into a research lab. And it's nice, they always want to know that who they appoint understands the value of being are handling people from different cultures,
Yeah.
different languages, and work with them. And so any of these things in college, when you're there in a different club, you work with a lot of people, you learn to communicate with them. And as you go up, like from second to fourth year, you go up, you start building like leadership skills and trying to handle or give allocate work, and all these things are things that will help you in the future at some point or the other, because they are skills that will you require not just in a research lab. Even if you're working in a company based setup, you would need all these things at some point. So I think it is nice to have
Of
spread and look at different
yeah, of
things of this. I mean, do something you're interested in. You don't have to force yourself into
course.
doing everything, or like trying to be in different places. But just one other
Spread
thing
it
is
out.
also, yeah, you don't have to be in five things. You can just be in one thing, but that'll still help you.
Okay. And anything else you would like to say to our viewers?
I would just like to say this: take it as it comes, and something would work out at the end of it. And I think there's always an option for you. Like, be if you don't have good grades, there's still always an option of you to gain experience in one way or the other, and you can still get into one of the top universities with not a great grade in your undergrad.
Okay.
So all of that happens, and have good rapport with your project coordinators and everything. So, and actually put in the work in it, so they can see that you're actually working towards it. You can get good recommendation letters from them if all that works out. And always look for opportunities where anytime you get, try to find an internship or somewhere that you can work with. But if you don't get it, then use it to do some other extracurricular activity or
Yeah.
anything else you're interested in, or just do online courses.
And one more thing, if you don't mind me asking, what was your CG like? CGPA.
Uh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you just froze up. Could you repeat your
Yeah.
question?
If you don't mind me asking, what was your CGPA like?
Ah, my CGPA was 7 point something, 7.3, something like that. And yeah, my first year and second year was very bad. I think it was just on the border of 7 or anything. And third year and final year, I kind of started getting a 9-ish CGPA because I actually
Oh,
liked the subjects
nice.
then. But then that doesn't matter because your first and second were
Yeah.
really bad, so it doesn't ever you never make up for it. But yeah, I got a 7.38. I'm not sure.
So do the professor ever ask you about low CGPA or average CGPA?
No one has actually ever asked me. All they worry about is just what kind of a lab skills you have.
Yeah, yeah.
And laboratories are something that I have always liked, even in Warangal, be it whatever it is, always the first in line to try and finish something or get something done. But whatever it is, so those, if they want to look at something also, they might look specifically at the lab grades and things like that. So, but no one has ever like asked me. But the only problem comes when you are applying to fellowships and things like that, where they are really looking for the top
High
ranked
CGPA. Yeah.
students and things like that. So that those situations might be a hindrance, but other than that, when you're actually personally approaching to people and you show that you have a zeal to learn and experience that can match to it, they're always welcome to any person. You don't have to have a 9-10 CGPA.
That's nice to know.
Yes.
Okay, let's wrap it up for today. And
Yeah.
do share, subscribe, and what's please can you
Comment.
mind?
Comment. And yes. Yes, thank you all for watching, and I think it's a great initiative that you guys have taken. So good luck.
Thank you.